The alarm started beeping at 0300 hours. Captain Tay Kang sat up in his bed, already knowing something was wrong. In 3 years of running the Horizon Watch monitoring station, the emergency system had never gone off in the middle of the night. He pulled on his uniform and walked quickly to the command center. Lieutenant Hai Na was already there, her fingers moving fast across the communication panels. Her face looked pale in the blue light of the screens. "Report," Tay said, standing behind her chair. "Sir, we picked up a distress signal. It's weak, but it's definitely there." Hai Na pressed a button and static filled the room. Behind the noise, something else played. A voice. No, many voices. Crying, screaming. Tay felt his stomach tighten. "Where is it coming from?" "The Valara system. About 6 light years from our position." Hai Na looked up at him. "Sir, it's not human. The signal is using Valesh communication protocols." The Valesh. Tay knew about them from the database. They were traders, peaceful people who sold exotic fruits and textiles across the galaxy. They never bothered anyone. Their ships were slow and had almost no weapons. "Can you clean up the signal?" Tay asked. Hai Na nodded and worked her controls. Slowly, the static faded. A voice came through, speaking in broken standard galactic language. "Anyone who can hear this message, please. They are killing us. Our ships are destroyed. They are taking our children. Please, if anyone is listening." The voice belonged to someone old, someone tired, someone who had given up hope but was still trying. "They are exterminating us," the voice continued. "We did nothing wrong. We were just passing through their space. They said we were trespassing. They fired without warning. Our children are dying. Our children are dying. Please, anyone?" Then the signal cut out. The command center was silent. Tay Kang stood very still. He had heard distress calls before. Space was dangerous. Ships broke down. Pirates attacked. But this was different. This was murder. "Sir," Hai Na said quietly, "what do we do?" Tay thought about the regulations. Horizon Watch was a listening post, nothing more. They were supposed to monitor space, record signals, and report back to Fleet Command. They were not supposed to get involved. They were especially not supposed to respond to non-human distress calls without permission from Earth. But Tay was also thinking about something else. He was thinking about the fear in that old voice. He was thinking about children dying in the cold dark of space. "Get me Fleet Command," he said. Hai Na worked her controls, then shook her head. "Sir, we're too far out. The relay is down for maintenance. It will take 6 hours to get a message through and 12 hours to get a response. 18 hours total." Tay looked at the screen showing the Valara system. 18 hours was forever. Whatever was happening there would be finished long before Earth could respond. "Can we boost the signal? Send something back to them?" Tay asked. "Maybe. But, sir, we're not authorized to—" "I know what we're authorized to do, Lieutenant." Tay walked to his command chair and sat down. He pulled up the station logs and started typing. "Record this. Captain Tay Kang, Commanding Officer Horizon Watch Station, dated November 27, 2847. At 0300 hours, we received a distress signal from Valesh vessels in the Valara system. The situation appears to be an active attack resulting in civilian casualties. Due to communication relay maintenance, Earth Command cannot be reached in time to respond." He paused, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. What he did next could end his career. The Galactic Council had rules. Humans were new to space, barely 200 years out from Earth. They were supposed to be careful, supposed to follow protocols. They were not supposed to interfere in conflicts between other species. But Tay Kang was thinking about his daughter back on Earth. She was 7 years old. He thought about someone hurting her while people who could help just stood by and watched because it wasn't authorized. He kept typing. Under Article 7 of the Human Naval Charter, which states that any human vessel or station has the authority to respond to distress calls when civilian lives are in immediate danger, I am authorizing a response. We may not be a warship, but we are still human. We will respond. Hiya na, Tay said, standing up. Boost everything we have to the Valara system. Send this message. Hiya na looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. She prepared the transmission array. Ready, sir. What's the message? Tai Kang took a deep breath. He thought about what he could say. Horizon Watch had no weapons. They had a crew of 40 people and one small shuttle. They could not save anyone. But maybe they could give hope. Maybe that mattered. Message begins, Tay said. This is Horizon Watch, human monitoring station. We have received your distress call. We are alerting our fleet command now. Help is coming. Humanity is coming. Hold on. Keep your people safe. We will not abandon you. Message ends. Hyena sent the transmission. The powerful array launched the signal toward Valara at light speed. It would take 6 hours to arrive. Now what? Hyena asked. Now we wait, Tay said, and we pray that someone hears us before it's too late. He looked at the stars on the view screen. Somewhere out there, people were dying, and somewhere else, humanity would hear about it. Tay did not know what would happen next, but he knew one thing for certain. Humanity did not like bullies. And humanity really did not like people who hurt children. The galaxy was about to learn that lesson the hard way. The message from Horizon Watch reached Earth Fleet Command 18 hours after Captain Tay sent it. By then, it was already too late to keep it quiet. Someone at the relay station had heard the Velesh distress call. They posted it on the public networks. Within 3 hours, 4 billion people had listened to the old voice begging for help. They heard the children crying in the background. They heard the weapons fire. They heard the screaming. Humanity was furious. Admiral Dae Hyun was in a meeting when his aide rushed in, not even bothering to knock. The aide's face was red, and he was breathing hard. Sir, you need to see this now, the aide said, holding out a tablet. Dae took it and watched the recording. His jaw tightened as he listened. When it finished, he stood up from the conference table. The other officers looked at him, waiting. Gentlemen, ladies, Dae said calmly, we will have to continue this discussion later. I have a fleet to mobilize. One of the admirals, an older woman named Sun Mi, stood as well. I assume we are responding to the Valara situation? We are, Dae said. The Galactic Council will object, another officer said. The Velesh are not part of the alliance. We have no treaty obligation. Dae looked at the man like he had said something stupid. Did you listen to that recording? Did you hear those children? Yes, sir, but... Then we respond. I don't care what the council says. Dae picked up his command pad. Sunmi, you're with me. Get the 3rd Expeditionary Armada ready to move. Full battle readiness. Sunmi smiled. It was not a nice smile. Yes, sir. How long do we have? We leave in 36 hours. Someone gasped. Sir, that's not enough time to... Make it enough time, Dae said and walked out of the room. The news spread across human space faster than light. The Velesh distress call played on every channel, every network, every screen. People gathered in the streets. They demanded action. Politicians who suggested caution found angry crowds outside their offices. The Galactic Council sent an official message to Earth. Do not interfere. This is an internal matter of the Krell Dominion. The Velesh entered their territory without permission. The humans must not take sides in this conflict. Earth's response was short. We received a distress call. We are responding. This is not negotiable. While diplomats argued, the military moved. Admiral Dae gathered his fleet, but he was not alone. Other fleet commanders heard the call. They began moving their ships without waiting for orders. From Mars Orbital Station, the 5th Fleet started warming up their engines. From Europa Base, the 9th Fleet prepared to launch. From the outer colonies, From the asteroid mining facilities, from every human military installation in the solar system, ships began to move. Commander Jin Woo received his orders while training his Special Forces team on Titan. He read the message twice, then gathered his soldiers. "Listen up," Jin said. His team called him the Ghost because of how quietly he could move. But today, his voice was loud and clear. "We have a mission. Velesh civilians are being slaughtered by the Krell. We are going in first. We are going in quiet. And we are going to make the Krell regret every single life they took." His soldiers checked their weapons. They did not ask questions. They did not hesitate. Across human space, 17 full battle fleets prepared to launch. It was the largest military mobilization in human history. Every available warship, every carrier, every destroyer, every marine battalion. They were all going to one place. The Krell Dominion noticed, of course. Overlord Vex sat on his command throne on Krell Prime and watched the reports with amusement. "The humans?" he laughed. "The newcomers? They have been in space for barely 2 centuries. What do they think they can do?" His tactical officer looked worried. "Sir, our scouts report that they are mobilizing 17 fleets. That is more ships than—" "I don't care if they mobilize 100 fleets," Vex said, waving his clawed hand. "They are weak. They are soft. They feel too much. We will crush them like we crushed the Velesh." "Should we withdraw our forces from Valara?" the officer asked. Vex stood up, his scales rattling with anger. "Withdraw? We do not withdraw from prey. Send a message to these humans. Tell them if they come to Valara, we will destroy them. Tell them the Krell Dominion does not fear anyone." The message was sent. Admiral Day received it 3 hours later. He read it, then deleted it without responding. Soon Mi, his tactical officer, stood beside him on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable. "Sir, what are your orders?" "We proceed as planned," Day said. "Jin Woo's team goes in first. They gather intelligence and start causing chaos. We follow 48 hours later. The Krell have fortified Valara. They have 3 battle cruisers and 20 escort vessels." Sun Mi pulled up the tactical display. "We will be outnumbered in that system." Day smiled. "For about 30 minutes. Then the other fleets arrive." "The Council is still protesting. They say this is an act of aggression." "Good," Day said. "Let them complain. By the time they finish writing their protest, this will be over." Jin Woo's stealth ships launched first, disappearing into the black. They would arrive at Valara in 5 days. The main fleet would follow. As the massive armada prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, monitoring stations across the galaxy detected something unusual. The gravitational readings were off the charts. 17 fleets moving together created waves in space-time itself. An alien ship captain watched the readings and felt fear creep up his spine. He had seen human ships before. They were tough, efficient, aggressive. But he had never seen them angry. "What have the Krell done?" he whispered to himself. On Earth, Captain Tae Kang's message was played at the fleet command ceremony. Admiral Day stood before his officers and crew, and he spoke clearly. Captain Tae promised those people that humanity was coming. We are going to keep that promise. We are going to show the galaxy what happens when you hurt the innocent. We are going to show them what happens when you make humanity angry. The fleet jumped to FTL. Across hundreds of ships, thousands of crew members prepared for battle. They checked weapons, ran drills, reviewed tactics. And they all thought about the voice on that recording. The old voice begging for help. The children crying. The Krell Dominion had made a mistake. They had hurt people who could not fight back. And they had done it where humans could hear. That mistake was about to cost them everything. Jin Woo's stealth ship slipped into the Valara system like a shadow. No alarms sounded. No sensors detected them. The Krell were confident in their blockade, but confidence made people careless. "We have visual on the colony ship," his pilot whispered. Even in the quiet of the stealth ship, everyone spoke softly. Old habits. Jin looked at the screen. The Valesh colony ship was still there, barely. Half of it was torn apart. Bodies floated in the debris field. His hands tightened on the armrest of his chair. "Life signs?" he asked. "Detecting some?" "Maybe a few hundred. They are in the central core, the most protected area." The pilot paused. "Sir, the Krell are landing parties on the ship. They are taking prisoners." Jin zoomed in the view screen. He watched Krell soldiers dragging Valesh civilians from the wreckage. The Valesh were small, gentle-looking people with soft fur and large eyes. They looked terrified. Some of the Krell were laughing. "What are they doing with the prisoners?" Jin asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. His intelligence officer checked the scanners. "Loading them onto cargo ships. Sir, based on Krell patterns, they are taking them as slaves, the young ones especially." Jin Woo was not an emotional man. He had been a soldier for 20 years. He had seen bad things. But watching those children being dragged away made something cold settle in his chest. "Change of plans," he said. "We are not waiting for the main fleet. Begin infiltration now. I want teams on every Krell ship in this system. Find their command centers, their engine rooms, their weapon controls. When the Admiral arrives, I want these ships ready to die." His team moved fast. Stealth pods launched from the ship, each carrying 3 soldiers in powered armor. They drifted toward the Krell vessels like space debris. The Krell never saw them coming. Jin led the team boarding the largest battlecruiser. They cut through the hull in silence, their plasma torches making no sound in the vacuum. Inside, they moved through the corridors like ghosts. A Krell guard turned a corner and found himself face to face with Jin. The guard started to raise his weapon. He never finished. Jin's blade was faster. "Command center is 2 levels up," Jin whispered into his comm. "Stay quiet. No alerts." They found the Krell command center and planted charges on every control panel. Small charges, hidden, set to remote detonation. When Admiral Day arrived, Jin would turn these ships into chaos. But then Jin heard something that made him stop, screaming, coming from below decks. "Hold position," he told his team. He moved toward the sound, his weapon ready. He found the holding cells. Inside were dozens of Valesh. They were crammed into cages meant for cargo. Some were injured. All were terrified. And standing guard were 3 Krell soldiers, discussing which prisoners to take to processing. Jin listened to them talk about the Valesh like they were animals. Like they were things. He stopped being quiet. The fight lasted 15 seconds. When it was over, 3 Krell were dead, and Jin was opening the cages. An old Velesh female stared at him. She was the one from the recording. Elder Mira. Jin recognized her voice. You are human?" she whispered. "Yes," Jin said, helping her out of the cage. "We received your message. We are here." But you are just one ship. The Krell have many—" "We are not just one ship," Jin said. He smiled behind his helmet. "We are the advance team. The fleet arrives in 47 hours. And when they get here, the Krell are going to learn a lesson about touching people we are protecting." Across the system, Jin's other teams reported similar findings. Slave pens, torture rooms, places where the Krell did things that made even hardened soldiers feel sick. "Sir," one team leader reported, "these things we are seeing, request permission to eliminate all Krell on this vessel." Jin wanted to say yes. Every part of him wanted to say yes, but he had orders. "Negative. Plant your charges and extract. We let the Admiral handle this. But mark every location where you find prisoners. When we come back, we are saving every single one." 47 hours later, Admiral Day's fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Valara system. The Krell blockade detected them immediately. Overlord Vex, watching from his command ship, saw the sensor readings and laughed. "1 fleet! They sent 1 fleet! Destroy them!" But then more ships appeared, and more, and more. The sensors could not count them all. 17 fleets, dropping into normal space in perfect formation. The combined mass of their ships created visible distortions in space. Sun Mi stood beside Admiral Day on the bridge of the Indomitable. She looked at the tactical display showing the Krell positions. "Sir, they are hailing us," the communications officer said. "Ignore them," Day said. "Broadcast on all frequencies, all languages." The communications officer nodded. "Ready, sir? This is Admiral Dae Hyun of the Human Navy. Krell forces in the Valara system. You have one chance. Leave now. Abandon this system. If you are still here in 10 minutes, we will remove you. This is your only warning." The Krell response came quickly. "You dare threaten the Krell Dominion? You are the ones who should run, humans. We will tear your ships apart." Day looked at Sun Mi. "Start the countdown." 10 minutes. The Krell did not leave. Instead, they opened fire on the nearest human frigate. The ship, the Valiant, took direct hits to its hull. Explosions ripped through 3 decks. 391 crew members died in the first 30 seconds. The bridge of the Indomitable went silent. "Sir?" Sun Mi asked quietly. Day's face had gone cold. "They fired first. All ships, weapons free. Target their command vessels. Show them what happens when you kill humans." What happened next terrified every species monitoring the battle. Human ships did not fight like other species. They did not maneuver carefully or conserve ammunition. They attacked like they were angry, because they were. Swarm missiles launched by the thousands. Each one had basic intelligence and could track targets. The Krell tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. Their point defense systems overloaded. Human railguns fired solid slugs at a fraction of light speed. When they hit, Krell ships simply came apart. One human destroyer, the Relentless, lost its engines to Krell fire. The captain did not retreat. Instead, he aimed his ship at a Krell battlecruiser and pushed the reactors to maximum. "This is Captain Hobin of the Relentless, for the Valiant, for the Valesh. See you in hell." The Relentless rammed the Krell ship at full speed. Both vessels exploded, but the human crew had evacuated first using emergency pods. The Krell had not. Sun Mi coordinated the assault with cold efficiency. "Target their command ship, all heavy weapons. I want that ship gone." 12 human battleships fired simultaneously. The Krell command vessel tried to dodge, but there was nowhere to go. It broke apart under the barrage, sending debris spinning across space. Jin Woo triggered the charges his team had planted. Across the Krell fleet, ships lost power, lost weapons, lost engine control. They drifted helplessly while human forces tore them apart. 47 minutes after the battle started, it was over. The Krell blockade was destroyed. Not a single Krell ship remained operational. Admiral Day broadcast again. "All Krell survivors surrender, and you will be treated according to our laws. Any ship that tries to flee will be destroyed." Marines led by Lieutenant Ho Bin boarded the wrecked Valesh colony ship. Combat medic Yura went with them, carrying medical supplies. They found the survivors in the core section, hundreds of Valesh huddled together, terrified. Elder Mira looked up as the humans entered. She started crying. "You came," she whispered. "You actually came." Yura knelt beside her, already checking her injuries. "Of course we came. You called for help. Humans always answer." Across the system, human ships began rescue operations. They pulled Valesh survivors from the wreckage. They treated the wounded. They gathered the dead for proper burial. And in the holding cells of captured Krell ships, they found thousands more prisoners. Not just Valesh. Dozens of species. Some had been prisoners for years. Admiral Day walked through one of the slave pens, his face carved from stone. He looked at the cages, the chains, the evidence of torture. "Sun Mi," he said quietly, "send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we are not done here." Tell them we are going to the Krell home world. Sir, that would mean war. They started the war when they took those children, Day said. We are just going to finish it. The rescued Valesh numbered 12,000, out of 40,000 who had started the journey. The rest were dead or missing, taken by the Krell to places unknown. Combat medic Ura worked without stopping for 16 hours. The human medical teams had set up emergency hospitals on 3 of the larger ships. They treated Valesh injuries, gave them food, gave them water. Some of the Valesh were so weak they could barely stand. One young Valesh child, a girl named Bora, held Ura's hand and would not let go. She had watched her parents die. She was 7 years old. It's okay, Ura said softly, brushing the child's fur. You are safe now. We will not let anyone hurt you again. Bora looked up at her with large, dark eyes. Promise? Ura felt her throat tighten. I promise. Humans keep their promises. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Day watched the reports come in. The numbers made him feel sick. So many dead, so many taken. Sir, Sunmi said, we are receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. They are demanding we attend an emergency session. Tell them I'm busy, Day said. Sir, they are insisting. They say our actions were excessive. They say we destroyed the Krell fleet without proper authorization. Day looked at her. Excessive? We answered a distress call. We rescued civilians who were being slaughtered. If they think that's excessive, they can... Admiral, Sunmi interrupted gently. I agree with you, but we need to deal with them. Day sighed. Fine, set up the call. But I am not apologizing for anything. The holographic display activated, showing the Galactic Council chambers. Representatives from 40 species sat in their seats, all looking angry or worried or both. The council leader, an elderly alien named Ambassador Kale, spoke first. Admiral Dae Hyun, your actions in the Valara system were reckless and dangerous. You engaged in military action without council approval. You destroyed an entire fleet. This is not how civilized species behave. Day listened without expression. When the ambassador finished, he waited a moment, then spoke. We received a distress call. We responded. That is what humans do. The Velesh were not part of any alliance, another council member said. You had no obligation to them. We had a moral obligation, Day said. They asked for help. We gave it. But the scale of your response, Ambassador Kale said. 17 fleets, total destruction of Krell forces. This is disproportionate. Day leaned forward. Let me tell you what was disproportionate. The Krell were taking children. They were putting them in cages. They were selling them as slaves. We found pens full of prisoners from a dozen species. We found torture rooms. We found evidence of atrocities that I will not describe in this chamber because they are too horrible. And you are upset that we fought back too hard? The council chamber went quiet. The Krell had every chance to leave, Day continued. We gave them a warning. They chose to fire on us first. They killed 391 of my people. So yes, we responded with overwhelming force. And we would do it again. What do you intend to do now? Ambassador Kale asked carefully. We are going to Krell Prime, Day said simply. We are going to free every slave they hold. We are going to make sure they never do this again. The council chamber erupted. Representatives shouted over each other. Some demanded humanity stand down. Others warned of consequences. A few said nothing, just watched with worried eyes. Ambassador Kale raised his hand for silence. Admiral, if you attack Krell Prime, you will start a war. A real war. Is humanity prepared for that? Are the Krell? Day asked. Because we are already on our way. He cut the transmission. Sun Mi looked at him. That went well. I don't care what they think, Day said. Captain Tay promised those people we were coming. We kept that promise. Now we are making a new promise. Anyone who does what the Krell did will answer to us. While diplomats argued, the human fleet moved toward Krell space. But they were not alone. Ships from other species began pulling away from Krell territory. Some did it quietly. Others made public announcements. One species, the Drex, actually sent a message to humanity. We have closed our borders to Krell vessels. What they did to the Velesh is unacceptable. We stand with Earth. It was the first time a non-human species had publicly supported humanity. On Krell Prime, Overlord Vex watched the approaching human fleet with growing concern. His advisors stood around him, all talking at once. We must fortify the planet. We should ask the Council for help. We need to negotiate. Vex slammed his fist on the armrest of his throne. Silence! We do not negotiate with prey. The humans think they can threaten us. Let them come. We will crush them at our homeworld. We have orbital defenses. We have ground armies. We have enslaved species who will fight for us. His tactical officer looked uncertain. Sir, the humans destroyed our fleet at Valara in less than 1 hour. Perhaps we should— I said silence, Vex roared. Prepare all defenses. When the humans arrive, we will show them the true power of the Krell Dominion. Captain Tae Kang, still at Horizon Watch Station, watched the news reports with a mix of pride and worry. His simple message had started all of this. He had promised humanity would come. And they had come with everything they had. Lieutenant Hyena sat beside him. Sir, do you think we did the right thing? Tay thought about Elder Mira's voice on that recording. He thought about the children crying. He thought about Bora holding Yura's hand. Yes, he said, we did the right thing. The Council is angry with us. Some species are calling humans dangerous. Let them, Tay said. Better to be called dangerous than to sit back and watch innocent people die. On the Indomitable, Elder Mira asked to speak with Admiral Day. She walked slowly onto the bridge, supported by 2 human nurses. She looked small and frail, but her eyes were strong. Admiral, she said, thank you. Thank you for saving my people. Day stood and bowed slightly. We only wish we could have saved more. You saved thousands. Without you, we would all be dead or enslaved. She paused. But I must ask, why did you come? We are nothing to you. We have no alliance, no treaty. We cannot offer you anything in return. Why risk your ships and your people for strangers? Day looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, because no one else would. And that is reason enough. Elder Mira's eyes filled with tears. The galaxy says humans are dangerous, that you are too violent, too aggressive. But I think they are wrong. You are not dangerous to those who need help. You are only dangerous to those who hurt the helpless. That is exactly right, Day said. And the Krell are about to learn just how dangerous we can be. Elsewhere on the ship, Jin Woo briefed his Special Forces team. They had new orders. When the fleet reached Krell Prime, they would go in first again. But this time, they would not just plant charges. This time, they would start a revolution. The Krell have enslaved hundreds of thousands of people from dozens of species, Jin explained. Those slaves are our allies. We are going to arm them. We are going to train them. And when we attack from outside, they are going to attack from inside. His soldiers checked their weapons. One of them asked, Sir, what if the Krell use the slaves as shields? Jin's face went hard. Then we will be very, very careful. We did not come all this way to save some people by killing others. We will free them all, or we will die trying. The human fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind them, they left Valara system safe and guarded. Ahead of them lay Krell Prime, and the biggest battle humanity had ever fought. And across the galaxy, species watched and waited. Some hoped humanity would win. Some hoped they would lose. But all of them understood one thing now. Humanity had just announced themselves to the galaxy in the loudest way possible. They had said, "We will protect the innocent, we will punish the guilty, and we will not ask permission first." The galaxy would never be the same. The human fleet arrived at Krell Prime like a storm. 17 fleets, thousands of ships, all dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the same moment. The gravitational disturbance shook the entire system. Every sensor on every ship and station screamed warnings. Overlord Vex watched from his command center on the planet's surface. He saw the fleet size and felt fear for the first time in his long life. "How many ships?" he asked. His tactical officer's voice shook. "Over 3,000, sir, and more arriving every minute. They brought everything." Admiral Day stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked at the planet below. Krell Prime was beautiful from space. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked peaceful. But Day knew what happened on that planet. He had seen the evidence in the slave pens. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Broadcast to the entire system, all frequencies." The communications officer nodded. "Channel open, sir." Day took a breath, then spoke. "This is Admiral Day Hyon of the Human Navy. Krell forces, we are giving you one chance. Send out every being you have enslaved, every prisoner, every captive. You have 24 hours. If you comply, we will leave peacefully. If you do not, we will come down there and take them." The response from Overlord Vex came quickly, broadcast from the planet. "You dare threaten us in our own system? You are surrounded by our orbital defenses. You are outnumbered. Leave now, or we will destroy your fleet." Day looked at Sun Mi. She pulled up the tactical display. The Krell had over 50 orbital defense platforms. Each one had enough firepower to destroy a battleship. They also had over 200 defense ships in orbit. "Impressive," Sun Mi said. "On paper." "Start the countdown," Day ordered. 24 hours, and send in Jin Woo's team." While the galaxy watched and waited, Jin Woo and his special forces slipped past the Krell defenses. They had done this before. The Krell never learned. They landed on Krell Prime in the slave districts. Huge areas where the Krell kept workers from dozens of conquered species. The conditions were terrible. People lived in cages. They worked until they died. Jin Woo found the resistance leaders quickly. Every slave population had them. People who still had fight left in them. A leader named Roke, a large alien with 4 arms, stared at Jin Woo's armor. "You are human? We heard about what you did at Valara. We heard you fought the Krell." "We did more than fight them," Jin said. "We destroyed them. And now we are here to free you." "Free us? How? The Krell have weapons, armies, defenses." Jin Woo smiled behind his helmet. "So do we. And in about 23 hours, we are going to use them. But we need your help. When we attack from outside, you attack from inside. We will give you weapons. We will give you training." "Can you do this?" Roke looked at the other resistance leaders. They all nodded. "Yes," Roke said. "We have been waiting for this chance for years. Show us what to do." Jin's teams worked fast. They distributed weapons, showed the slaves how to use them, taught them basic tactics. They also mapped out every Krell military position, every command center, every weak point. On the surface, in the wealthy districts, Overlord Vex prepared for war. He called up every soldier, every weapon, every defensive system. He was confident. No one had ever successfully invaded Krell Prime. The 24 hours passed. Admiral Day sent one final message. "Your time is up. Send out the prisoners now." Vex's response was to fire on the human fleet. Every orbital platform opened up at once. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around the human ships. The humans had been ready. Their shields held. They returned fire. What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. Human ships targeted the orbital platforms with precision strikes. They did not waste ammunition. They did not miss. One by one, the platforms exploded. The Krell defense fleet tried to counterattack. They flew in formation, just like their training taught them. The humans tore them apart. Human fighters swarmed like angry insects, too many to track, too fast to hit. Lieutenant Hobin led the first Marine landing. His dropships punched through the atmosphere, burning bright as they fell. Krell anti-aircraft fire tried to stop them. Most missed. The ones that hit usually found that human armor was tougher than expected. They landed in the slave districts. The Krell defenders rushed to stop them. They found themselves fighting on two fronts: human Marines from above, armed slaves from within. The Krell had never trained for this. They had never expected their slaves to fight back. Roke and his people fought like they had nothing to lose. Because they didn't. This was their one chance at freedom, and they were not going to waste it. Yura landed with the second wave. She set up field hospitals in the liberated areas. The wounded came in waves. Humans, yes, but also freed slaves. She treated them all. One Krell soldier was brought in, badly injured. Yura's assistants looked at her uncertainly. "He is Krell," one said. "Should we?" "We treat everyone," Yura said firmly. "That is what separates us from them." She worked on the Krell soldier with the same care she gave everyone else. The soldier watched her with confused eyes. "Why?" he asked weakly. "Why help me? We are enemies." Yura looked at him. "Because you are hurt. That is enough reason." The battle for Krell Prime lasted 3 days. The humans were careful. They did not bomb cities. They did not target civilians. They went after military targets only, using precision strikes instead of overwhelming force. When they found slave pens, they freed everyone inside. When they found Krell who surrendered, they took them prisoner and treated them according to human military law. On the 3rd day, Jin Woo's team found Overlord Vex. He was trying to escape in a hidden transport. Jin's soldiers surrounded him. Vex stood tall, his scales bright with rage. "If you are going to kill me, do it quickly." "We are not going to kill you," Jin said. "You are going to stand trial for your crimes. You are going to answer for every person you enslaved, every child you took, every life you destroyed." "The Krell do not recognize your laws." "Then you will learn to," Jin said simply. When the fighting stopped, the humans counted their results. Over 200,000 slaves freed. Dozens of species. Some had been prisoners for decades. The humans gave them medical care, food, shelter. They asked nothing in return. Elder Mira arrived on Krell Prime with the Valesh survivors. She walked through the freed slave camps with tears in her eyes. She found Bora, the little girl who had lost her parents. Bora was playing with children from 5 different species, all laughing together. "They are free," Mira whispered. "They are all free." Ambassador Kale from the Galactic Council came to Krell Prime personally. He walked through the liberated districts with Admiral Day. "I owe you an apology," Kale said quietly. "When you said you were coming here, I thought you were seeking conquest. I thought you wanted to expand human territory." "We don't want their territory," Day said. "We just wanted to stop them from hurting people." "But you deployed your entire military. You risked everything." Day stopped walking and looked at the ambassador. "We heard children crying for help. What else were we supposed to do?" Kale was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "For centuries, the Council has operated on careful diplomacy. We debate. We negotiate. We form committees. And while we do all that, people like the Krell hurt the helpless because they know we will not act. But you humans heard one distress call and mobilized everything you had." "Is that a criticism?" Dai asked. "No," Kale said. "It is an observation. The galaxy has been calling humans dangerous, violent, aggressive, but I have been watching you for the past week. You gave the Krell every chance to surrender. You targeted only military installations. You treated wounded prisoners. You freed slaves and asked nothing in return. The galaxy thinks you are terrifying because of your weapons. They are wrong. You are terrifying because you will cross the galaxy for people you have never met. News of what happened at Krell Prime spread across the galaxy faster than light. The images went everywhere. Human soldiers freeing slaves, human medics treating everyone. Human engineers helping rebuild damaged districts. One image became famous across 100 worlds. It showed Bo-Ra, the young Valesh girl, hugging U-Ra. The caption said simply, "Humanity answered." The Krell Dominion surrendered completely. They signed treaties abolishing slavery. They paid reparations to their victims. They did everything the humans demanded because the alternative was to face the 17 fleets again. The Valesh asked permission to establish an embassy on Earth. Other species followed. Species that had been ignored by the galaxy before. Species that had no power, no influence, no protection. Until now. Captain Tay Kang returned to Horizon Watch Station. He sat in his command chair and looked at the communications panel. Lieutenant Haya Na walked in with her daily report. "Sir, we are receiving distress calls. A lot of them." "How many?" Tay asked. 47 in the last week. Pirates attacking trade ships. A colony being threatened. A research station under siege." She paused. "Sir, they are all asking for the same thing. They want humanity to help." Tay smiled. "Then I guess we better start making calls. Contact Fleet Command. Tell them we have work to do." Admiral Day did not disband the 17 fleets. Instead, he deployed them across human space, ready to respond, ready to protect. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. They debated what humanity's actions meant. Some called for restrictions on human military power, others argued for cooperation. Ambassador Kale stood before the council and spoke clearly. "For too long, we have ignored the suffering of the weak because it was not our problem. The humans have shown us a different way. They have shown us that helping those in need is not an act of aggression. It is an act of basic decency. I move that we establish a formal alliance with Earth, not because we fear their fleet, but because we need their example." The vote was not unanimous, but it passed. On Earth, people watched the news and felt pride. Their military had gone to war, yes, but they had gone to war to save lives. They had fought not for territory or resources, but for people who had no one else. Bo-Ra grew up on a human colony world. She learned about the distress call her elder Mira had sent. She learned about Captain Tay's promise. She learned about the fleet that came to save her. When she was old enough, she joined the human navy. On her first day of training, her instructor asked why she enlisted. Bo-Ra stood straight and said, "Because when I was 7 years old, humanity saved my life. Now I want to help save others." The galaxy learned a new rule. It was simple. It was clear, and every species understood it. If you hurt the innocent, if you prey on the weak, if you take what is not yours, then you will hear 4 words that will haunt you. Humanity is coming. And when they arrive, they will not ask permission. They will not wait for approval. They will simply do what humans do best. They will keep their promises. They will protect the helpless. And they will remind the universe that sometimes the most terrifying thing is not weapons or ships or armies. Sometimes the most terrifying thing is someone who refuses to look away when others need help. The SOS had summoned humanity's most terrifying armada, but what made it truly terrifying was not its size or strength. It was that humanity would do it again, and again, and again, for anyone who called for help. Because that is what humans do.